Life is truly about overcoming obstacles. Stephanie Deible was faced with one of life's most difficult obstacles the day she was born. She was diagnosed with cerebral palsy, and growing up with this disability was a huge challenge. But instead of letting the disability control her, she controls it. This is Stephanie's story. So, Stephanie, if you could you provide us a quick explanation of what cerebral palsy is and how it's affected you?
There are many different forms of cerebral palsy. I personally have what's called spastic cerebral palsy, and it basically affects my muscles. When you have CP, your muscles are weak and they spasm, so it just affects your mobility a little bit and what you are able to do.
And how did it affect your childhood growing up?
Growing up, it was definitely a challenge to do some of the simple things in life, like get dressed and just be able to move from place to place. So basically, I just had to work twice as hard to do some of the normal things that other people do on a daily basis, like get dressed, be able to brush your teeth, and just move and be mobile.
Mm-hmm. How did your family help you out during this?
My family was very supportive. Obviously, when I first got diagnosed when I was a baby, I'm sure it was rough. But, you know, they just saw it as this was a part of who I am. My disability isn't going to define me. So they just wanted to be very supportive and encourage me to do whatever it is I wanted to do in life.
How did the school systems treat you, and how has Grand Valley treated you and tried to accommodate you?
Throughout my high school and middle school and growing up, I did have to advocate for a lot of different things. When I first got to middle school, there were no bathrooms that I could use that were handicap accessible, so I had to advocate for that. And I looked at it as this isn't only for me, but for future generations of people with disabilities. I want to give them more opportunities, and thankfully now all the things that I've advocated for have changed. Like I said, I just want to give other people with disabilities great opportunities.
How did you first get into the pageant?
Last summer, I guess you would say, my best friend got engaged, and I was the maid of honor in her wedding. And we were shopping for a bridal gown. And when we encountered the bridal boutique, we saw a sign on the door that advised wheelchairs not to go in the store. And so I told my best friend, being a girl, you know, I don't want you to be able to not shop for a wedding dress because I'm with you. Like, what if the bridal gown of your dreams is in this store? Their main concern was that my wheelchair would ruin their merchandise, so they followed me throughout the store and told me that I couldn't go in the fitting room. Being in a wheelchair my whole life, I knew that the AADA does not allow people to restrict you from fitting rooms. So we contacted Target 8 Investigation, and then through the media coverage, the Miss Wheelchair Michigan coordinator found me, and she asked me if I would be willing to compete for Miss Wheelchair Michigan, and I gave it a shot just because it's a program that promotes advocacy and reaching out to other people with disabilities.
I know that you went to the national competition in August. How did that go?
It was fantastic. Going into it, I really didn't know what to expect. I was one of the youngest contestants. I ended up being named second runner-up for Miss Wheelchair America, so that was really cool. And I went into it just thinking that this was an opportunity for me to advocate and help other people with disabilities, and I ended up having a blast and had quite a good outcome as well.
What are some barriers that you feel you've crossed as a person with a disability that people didn't expect you to be able to do?
One of the biggest obstacles I overcame growing up was being able to come to college. Initially, I struggled to even do little things like sit up on my own or move, and so doctors weren't necessarily sure if I would be able to come to Grand Valley or to college in general. And to be honest, going to college was one of my biggest goals, because I know that in order to succeed in this world, you really need to be educated. So getting an education would open up so many opportunities for me, and so I just worked towards that. And I think when I come across people and tell them that I have a disability, they automatically assume that I can or can't do things. And I don't want people to think that. Give me a chance to show what I can do.
What would you do if you ever saw someone being bullied because they have a disability?
When people look at me, I don't want them to see the chair. I want them to see me. When I see things like that, I want to ask people, what if that was you? You don't know what's going to happen. What if you're in a car accident 2 weeks later and you're paralyzed? What would you do? What would you want people to act towards you? How, So when I see people bullying others, I just, confront them and give them that question just to think, really, what would I do if I was in a chair? Would I want people to be doing that to me?
Good answer. When people come to you seeking advice on how to live your life with a disability, what is the main thing that you tell them?
I would say my biggest piece of advice for people with disabilities is don't focus on what limitations people set for you or what people tell you can and can't do. Focus on the opportunities. I think life is all about the opportunities you have in front of you rather than the limitations. You need to go into every obstacle you face thinking about the opportunities you have in front of you. And just because if you look at it that way, you never know where you'll end up and you never know what you'll accomplish. As Miss Wheelchair Michigan, my platform is helping others with disabilities turn their dreams into goals. And I chose that simply because I think there are so many programs and so many resources out there to help people overcome obstacles and help them to be able to do what it is they want to do in life. And I just want to spread that message.
The most special characteristic that Stephanie has is her leadership capability. Instead of living a limited life, she moves through it breaking down barriers that not only affect herself, but all people who suffer from a disability. She has already made a prodigious impact and continues to pave the way for more to come. She is not just an inspiration to those who suffer from a disability, but to all of us, reminding us on how to be a leader and to stand up for what is right and just.